In this video, I'm going to show you how to install WordPress, an awesome content management system that we use quite a bit here at Donet in a Fusion website, also hosted here at Donet. There are a few prerequisites before you can get started. The first is that you need a domain name, and for the purposes of this example, I'm going to use one of my testing domain names, Linux.com. You can register your own domain name through us or through another registrar and host your website here, which happens to be the second requirement. You have to have a Fusion website from Donet. And when you get your Donet Fusion website, we're going to give you FTP login information and MySQL database information, including the login and database name and server name. You're going to need to have that all on hand. Of course, you'll need an internet connection and a working web browser. You'll also need an FTP client, File Transfer Protocol client. I happen to be on a Mac, so the one that I use is FileZilla, but there's also a FileZilla client available in the Windows environment. You can get that for free. Just Google FileZilla, Z-I-L-L-A at the end. And then you need about 10 minutes time or less. And this is probably one of the quickest ways to install WordPress that I've been able to figure out. There's other ways to do it, but this one seems to work fairly easily and should be accomplished by most people. So the first step is to go get the WordPress code. And to go get the WordPress code, you want to go to WordPress.org. And when you go there, you'll see a link that says download WordPress 3.0.3 or whatever the latest versions happens to be. There's also a download link up here. I'm going to go to this, and I'm going to right-click on this button here and say I'm going to download this linked file. And actually, if I do this right, download linked file as, I'm going to put it on my desktop, latest.zip, and you'll see it pop up over here. Now, this is actually a zip file. Now you have to unzip it to put it up to the website. So I'm just going to double click on this, unzip it, create a WordPress folder that has all the WordPress code inside of it, as you can see here. So now I've got the files here on my local machine. What I need to do is get all of these files up to the web server. To do that, I'm going to use FileZilla. Now, right now I don't have FileZilla configured with any site information for my new website, so I'm going to set one up, and I'm going to call it Linux.com. And I'm going to come over here and say that the host name is Linux.com. I want to use the file transfer protocol. I want the login type to be normal. The username, this is going to be assigned to you by Donet. And in this example, it's Linux.com. My password. And that is it. I'll say OK. Now I've created a setup for Linux.com. I'm going to go ahead and double click on that to connect. And you'll see some directories here. And you'll actually see the screen split in half here. This is what's on my computer over here. This is what's on the server over here. This is typical of FTP clients. And what I want to do is I want to go into my desktop and the WordPress directory that I created. And here's all the files that I've got on my local machine that I need to somehow get over here to the web server. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of these files. And I'm just going to drag them and drop them onto the www directory. You'll see a whole bunch of activity here as those files are getting transferred. When the transfer is done, we'll have to wait a minute here. We have a few more to go. Just give it a second. A lot of files to transfer, close to 700, so it takes a bit of time. And we're down to the last 50 so. And we're done. So now I'm done with the FTP client. I can actually close this down. I don't need it anymore. And I'm actually going to go to my website, Linux.com, which until this moment had nothing there. And WordPress detects that I don't have a config file. Now, there's a difficult way to create a config file, and that's to manually edit the file on the server and save it, but you can also create one right here through the installer, which is what we're going to do. And WordPress reminds you that you need the database name, username, password, host, and table prefix. This will all be given, 1 through 4 will be given to you by Donet when you set up your Fusion website. Number 5 we're just going to leave that at the default value. So let's go. The database name given to me by Donet when I created my Fusion website was db1 Linux_com. My username is Linux.com. My password is testing5545. My database host is mysql.donet.com. So these are items 1 through 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 5, I told you we were just going to leave it the default at WP_. So I'm going to submit that, and I'm going to run the install. And I'm just going to say Linux test website. Username admin. I'm going to give it the same password that I used for the database. Now this is your administrative user. You're actually creating a user now in the WordPress control panel, and you'll see why you'll need that in just a second. Supply your email address. Mine happens to be david@donet.com. I'm going to leave this box checked and install it. Give it a second, and I'm all done. Now when I log into WordPress 5545, what I'm going to see is the WordPress dashboard. And you can see here's the title of the website I just created. This is the back end to the content management system where you can actually go and add posts, create pages, things like that. But this is what the public will see on the public end. And I've just installed the WordPress content management system in about 6 minutes. It's pretty easy.